fans are going to quibble with, not the least of which is there is only one primetime game on the schedule for this team in 2024. Tiffany Cockrell starts us off saying, evening, friends. I hate the schedule. Yes, indeed. I expect that there will be some strong reactions here this evening. Where have I been, says Pistol Grip? Well, I've been looking at your schedule, looking over your schedule, making sure that I got it about 20 minutes ago, if you guys got it about 8 minutes ago. So I've been poring over it, going through the notes and tidbits that I need to know to be able to inform you about the intricacies of this particular schedule. There's a lot of things to not like. There are some things to like, and certainly this team will not be showcased on a national platform anytime soon. Jordan Ross says of the Titans' fourth place schedule, they're going 17-0, baby. They are going to go undefeated with one of the weakest strengths of schedule in the NFL. Well, regardless of how you feel about it, that's what this particular program is for. We're going to vent. We're going to work through it over the course of the next 45 minutes to an hour, like I said, and we're very happy to have you all involved with the program. Bert has even already pulled the Titans schedule release video. I have not yet seen it, so that means that we need to get right to it and start this show up. If you are hanging out with us on Twitter, please retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can do that. If you're on Facebook Live, like Pistol Ramsey, and who else is on Facebook? Craig Baxter. I see Robert Hudson, David Lee. So many of our Facebook friends. You can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And if you're on YouTube or Twitch, whichever YouTube channel you're on, because we're live streaming to 2 YouTube channels tonight between the Zones YouTube channel and A to Z Sports, make sure you like that video. Subscribe to whichever channel that you're hanging out here with us. If you haven't consumed the Primetime show and you're a Zone listener, welcome. We're happy to have you. If you're old hand at this with a long-time A to Z Sports Primetime consumer, welcome back. Thanks for sharing the show. And let's go ahead and break down this football schedule, which is exciting because it means we're one step closer to football season. Instead of warming you up the normal way, I'm going to tell you that the Primetime program is presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, by Zen Sports, where betting just got better, and by TrueMav Fitness, where your first workout is free at TrueMavFitness.com. And the only thing that we have left to do is roll tape on the 2024 Titans schedule release. Go ahead and hit it, Bert.
Guys, Red Stallion Girl. I'm here back on Broadway.
Oh, the Bengals. Yeah, I love the Bengals.
Love the Bengals.
Love Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
They peaked in 1970.
And
over the cheese.
Okay.
Okay, so Alex Earl's boyfriend.
That's the Dallas Cowboys. That's Dak Prescott.
I wouldn't want to be a table around him.
Like, he will go on fourth every time. He just don't care. Like, he's like me if I play the NFL on my phone. I know that they used to kick the Super Bowl's ass for a consecutive, like, maybe like 3 to 4 years straight with Tom Brady.
And then what happened?
My favorite actor is a fan of theirs.
Oh.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have.
They have David Carr is what I know about them.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have.
I don't know that one either. Yeah. If you could describe their team in 3 words, what would it be?
Going downhill.
Eli Manning, for sure.
That's pretty much it.
I don't know who those guys are.
I don't know who they are either.
I'm terrible at this.
I'm so bad.
They have fans?
I love the Titans.
I do too.
Best team in the AFC South.
We're from Tennessee, me and him, so hey, go Titans.
They've been really good lately.
I like your quarterback.
Their fan base is awesome.
Good fan base. You were here for the draft. This place was like Times Square on New Year's Eve.
So that's the Titans 2024 schedule. Your Two Rivers Ford take is this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. If you want to jump in the comment section, what game on the Titans schedule are you most excited about? We're happy to have you guys in here. What is the game on the Titans schedule that you are most excited about? I'll run through the entirety of it again for you all to pick. Again, there's only one primetime game, week 4 in Miami. It's going to be hot as all hell in late September on South Beach. Well, really not on South Beach, in Miami Gardens, but even still, the Titans only have one primetime game scheduled right now and 14 games that they'll kick off at noon. It is going to be an early slate for the Tennessee Titans in 2024. The NFL not terribly interested in broadcasting their games to a larger national audience. Matt Kontovich says, personally hate the primetime games. Well, lucky you, because you only have one. Jacob Ray says the Jets is his favorite game on the schedule. The home opener, they're hard to predict. Jack Ripper says he prefers new games. I personally do as well. I could give a shit about primetime games. The only reason a primetime game affects me at all is whether we have to do the primetime show after a primetime game or not, which the answer to that is no. So we'll have a full primetime reaction to this particular schedule. And guessing Stephen Crozio says, guessing Derrick Henry and or Mike Vrabel was the reason we had primetime games. I don't know how much Mike impacted that. Derrick for sure. Losing Derrick Henry is a big blow to your appeal, and he'll be regularly on national television with the Baltimore Ravens. Will Dodson says his favorite part of the schedule is the bye. That's pretty surprising. Week 5 bye is honestly trash. So to say anybody or to have anybody use that as a positive is pretty interesting to me. Pistol Ramey says, I want to go to Miami, but they say we are not primetime. Yeah, I will be in Miami again, and we'll see if the Titans can't pull off another miracle on a Monday night, because that was their most miraculous performance of 2023. But this is what the schedule looks like, the full rundown for you if you were not following along with the logos. You open the season at Chicago on the road against the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. You'll be home for 2 straight weeks against the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers. The Jets will be your home opener, so that's Aaron Rodgers. And then your one primetime game is that week 4 at Miami. The week 5 bye is terrible, especially with the stretch of teams that you will face until you're at your next opportunity to rest. Week 6, your first divisional game against the Colts in the AFC South. The Bills game on the road, the Lions on the road before you have New England at home. And just to break that up a little more, you'll go back on the road to LA against the Chargers. The toughest stretch of this season, and it's broken up pretty nicely, but the toughest stretch of your season is weeks 14 through 18, because you've got 4 divisional games in that 5-week stretch, and the non-divisional opponent among them is Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, who will be playing against their offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, their former offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, for the first time. The Titans will have the rest advantage on their opponent 4 times in 2024. This is courtesy of Mike Herndon. Week 2 versus the Jets, who will be coming off Monday Night Football. Week 7 against the Bills, who will be coming off Monday Night Football. Week 12 against Houston, who will be coming off Monday Night Football. And Cincinnati is on a short week against the Titans, again, coming off Monday Night Football. The only time that the Titans will have a real rest disadvantage is in week 18, when they will probably be playing a Saturday game against the Houston Texans. So it will be a slightly shortened week there. Tennessee, obviously, will also be coming off the bye in week 5, so they'll have an additional rest advantage against the Colts before that really begins. So it's a pretty vicious stretch, basically from week 12 through week 18, because you start with that Houston Texans game on the road. We'll see what the Commanders do, but then Jags, Bengals, Colts, Jags, Texans to end the regular season. 3 straight divisional games to end the regular season. 5 of the last 7, Patrick says, is pretty ridiculous. And Jack the Ripper says he thinks the bye is BS. But we're talking about the positives on the schedule right now. Here on the Primetime Show, out of all of them, Miami Dolphins is the only primetime game. And yes, it is on the road. Here's the thing. Like, my contention with the Titans schedule. Let me tell you, let me say this about the Titans and the lack of primetime games here in just a second. My biggest contention about why they don't have more primetime games, I'll get to in just a moment, right after I remind you that the primetime program is presented by Zen Sports. Plug in the promo code ATOZTN. Get up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Zen Sports is the best place for you to wager on all your favorite major sports. You can bet NFL futures. You can bet the NBA or NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball also at your disposal. Terms and conditions do apply. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. If you have a gambling problem, must be 21 plus and in Tennessee to bet. The biggest reason that the Titans don't have a primetime game at home, and they will have gone. Bert, if you could look this up for me, and you feel free to jump in at any point, as Bert is keeping an eye on the most notable games of the schedule at this point. I'm keeping an eye on the NFL Network's broadcast as well, which will have Tom Brady in the mix on Fox this year. The idea of when the last home primetime game the Tennessee Titans have had, because I think it's been at least, has it been 3 seasons at least since they've had a home primetime game? That's pretty crazy to think about. Only 2 games not at noon. Kind of nice. I think many of you prefer the noon games. Bert says in our private chat, the Cowboys game wasn't primetime. Yes, that wasn't 3 seasons ago, but it was 2 seasons ago. That was Thursday Night Football in Nashville against the Cowboys. And of course, Josh Dobbs started. Your season was kind of out of hand, but not really. You were trying to save it. That's why Dobbs made the start, and there was way, way more Cowboys fans in the house than anything else. Justin Turner says he was at that Cowboys game, and it was lit. But still, and also we sat players, says Jacob Ray. Yeah, so there was precious little reason for Titans fans to get excited about the last home primetime game that they had. And here's the thing. I'd be curious to talk to some Titans executives about this, and perhaps I'll make some calls after the show. We didn't really have time to ask some questions about this before primetime began, because Matt Bailey says you lose, you don't get primetime games. Well, no, they were shitty in 2022. They lost 7 straight, and they had 3 primetime games last year, okay? So it's not like, and maybe you get the benefit of the doubt with Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry. They thought that they might be somewhat salvageable. I think we thought that they might be somewhat salvageable to an extent, and they very much were not. They were worse in 2023 than they were the year prior. It's not even about the losing to me, because the primetime games is one thing. The home primetime games is another. I don't think the Tennessee Titans are going to get home primetime games at Nissan Stadium. I'm not going to say at all until the new stadium's built, but I don't think you want the optics of your Monday Night Football broadcast or Sunday Night Football broadcast on a small market team that doesn't bring you ratings anyway in the middle of a construction zone. I'd be curious to know how much that impacts the NFL's decision-making, because it very much impacted FIFA's lack of interest in bringing the World Cup here. They didn't want the World Cup played in the middle of a construction zone. That's why Kansas City ended up as a World Cup host site instead of us. We didn't have our shit together on the stadium plan. We're late to the game on the stadium stuff for the World Cup timeline. And ultimately, Kansas City gets it over Nashville because FIFA didn't like the optics of playing in the middle of a construction zone. I'm sure the NFL has similar feelings. Now, I don't know if that's going to prevent them from having any primetime games until when's the stadium supposed to be done? 2027? Any primetime games at home until 2027. But I have to think that it's a factor to some extent. Elsewhere on the Titans schedule, things that are notable. The thing that I like the best based on this schedule as I kind of parse through it right now is the number of times that they will have the rest advantage. And I do like the idea of having back-to-back home games for the first time in quite some time. That's been a big problem for the Titans. They had gone, I think, 2 straight seasons without having a back-to-back home stretch in their schedule, or really only once in the last couple of years have they had back-to-back home games. This year, it occurs how many times? Let's see. Twice in the first month. You have the bye week and the Colts at home. You then have home dates back-to-back against the Jaguars and the Bengals in week 14 and 16 before ending your regular season at home, again, because they have consistently been on the road at the end of the regular season, except for last year, which was the anomaly. So I do like the idea that they have multiple stints of back-to-back weeks at home. That is something, again, that has eluded them. Draymond Rupee says Sunday night is the only prime time that is real. Mondays and Thursdays are a joke. Titans severely shafted. Well, okay, why were they shafted? I'm confused. What is it about this that makes you feel like they're a product that should be on television? So Bert, and let me see if the NFL has put out the full schedule. Typically, they send that to our emails in terms of teams that have the most primetime appearances. They did send out a schedule or a full schedule detail about 4 minutes ago. But looking through the highlights of the schedule right now, the teams that are getting the most primetime dates are the teams that people want to see the most. How many times do you have to be told? And this doesn't impact you because whatever, you're going to watch it locally. Most of you are local. How many different ways do you have to be told that people don't want to watch your football team? You want to watch your football team. You want other people outside of the Nashville or Middle Tennessee market, or perhaps even the Southeast. You want other people to acknowledge your football team, I guess. But if they don't want it, if they don't want to watch it, and they don't really think it's that interesting anyway, heading into 2024 when they're one of the teams with the lowest projected win totals, why are they shafted? I don't think there's anything about them that's been shafted here. I think the Tennessee Titans are getting the appropriate amount of primetime games. You have to earn it. There's nobody on this roster. Who on this roster is an NFL league-wide marquee player besides DeAndre Hopkins and Jeff Simmons? Is there a single other player besides one on offense and one on defense? And many in the league would probably name how many defensive tackles. Aaron Donald retired, so you would probably only get to 4 or 5 defensive tackles, maybe 3 or 4, depending on how you have your list stacked before you got to Jeff Simmons on that list. DeAndre Hopkins has been one of the best players in the NFL. He is still a very high-level player in the NFL, but he is certainly past the peak of his, full powers at this point. So who's the marquee? Who's the headliner? Who is the reason to put them on Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or all these other primetime games? I'm confused. Where's the slight? Where's the shaft? Where's the shaft? Phrasing. Where is the level of interest outside of the market that they currently play in from other people? Who's the marquee player? Derek says Calvin Ridley. Is Calvin Ridley a marquee player right now in the NFL, coming off of one season where he's really started to reintegrate himself back into the NFL? No, I bet you would name 10 wide receivers who are bigger headline players than Calvin Ridley right now in the sport. So it's a very confusing context to me that you guys would want something for them before they have earned any kind of notoriety. Your notoriety just signed with Baltimore in the offseason. You're most famous in the last couple of years for Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel. Would you disagree? Perhaps A.J. Brown, but that's been almost 3 years ago at this point. So Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel are the two things that the Tennessee Titans are most known for over the span of the last 6 to 8 years, right? Mike 6 years ago, Derrick 8 years ago. So we'll just say the last 6 years because that's when Derrick and Vrabel really started to move forward as at the forefront and the faces of the franchise. They constructed all the marketing around Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry. So when the two most marketed or marketable assets that you have leave in the offseason, you should expect what? More nationally televised broadcast? I'm confused. Irfan, forgive me if I've mispronounced it, says the Titans have to prove their worth by winning this season before they get any primetime love. I'm absolutely on board with that. Listen, the schedule is shitty for a team that most people are saying, yeah, I could take or leave the Tennessee Titans at this point. But looking at all of the different games on the schedule, there are some things that play to their advantage. This is a schedule that should make them competitive in the AFC South. And there are plenty of teams who go from worst to first all the time. So with that being said, the Texans, somebody just tweeted it to me, or was that just a notification that came across my phone? Let me see if I can find it. Texans have 6 primetime or standalone games on the schedule in 2024. They have the most. They were out of the spotlight from. Now, this is a great example. Texans had every game last season kick off at 1 p.m. until Week 18, Saturday night against the Colts when they won that. So you even have you got more benefit of the doubt than C.J. Stroud and the Texans did last year. What did C.J. Stroud and the Texans do? They went out there and earned it. And that is the thing that I think a lot of teams or a lot of Titans fans have to keep in mind. You haven't earned a damn thing yet at this point. A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by the great folks at TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for more information about how they can maximize your fitness goals with the best place to work out in Middle Tennessee. That's TrueMathFitness.com for that first workout free. Some comments here. William Jones says, just got my tickets for Miami and LA. Digi Sports says at least one more primetime game like a Thursday or Saturday. Based on what? Again, how many teams do you think the average NFL fan would say they want to watch a game of that's not their team before they would get to the Titans? I imagine they would go several deep. And I'm not saying that to slight you guys. Like, I'm not saying that to take a pot shot at you or, to try and make you feel bad about your football team or whatever. But I'm just trying to give you an honest assessment. If I'm an objective, Bert, can you help me here? Help put this in context for Titans fans, because neither you or I or our Titans fans, I'm a working member of the media. Oh, there Bert went, and I don't know what he did, but apparently he kicked himself out of the chat. But for Bert's purposes, I'm not a Titan. What did you do? You have one job around here.
Want me to come in here and help you, and then you just kick me out, man.
I didn't kick you out. I didn't do that. Figure it out around here. We're trying to do a professional broadcast.
Yeah, you did. Watch. I'll do it again. You did.
Pissed me off. I swear to God, this idiot, especially with that bar sitting right in the middle of my face until he comes back in here. Bert is a Ravens fan. We'll ask him about how he feels about his team schedule here in just a little bit, because the Titans are not on the Ravens' regular season schedule. I'm a working member of the media, so I could give a shit about the schedule and the impact of it, other than, what's the most favorable to my travel plans and trying to make the most sense of how it breaks favorably for you guys and where the pitfalls might lie. So for the two of us, as you look at this schedule, how many teams would you name, Bert, before you, as an objective football fan, said, I want to just throw on a random Titans game. I hope they're on national TV.
Sure, to take a look at the schedule, how many of these teams would you, and it's not saying the team the Titans are playing, would you want to see the Titans? Like, because they're there's week.
Not if I'm an objective football fan, okay, there is not a single team on their schedule that I would pick a Titan, just a Titans performance over. I would rather see the Commanders with Jaden Daniels play, just out of curiosity. I don't know what that's going to look like. I would rather see the Chargers play with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. I would rather watch the Texans if I'm an objective NFL fan, because they've got more players that I know. Maybe you could say the Colts have a bigger fan base. I think that more people would want to watch the Colts. The Jets have Aaron Rodgers. You could maybe make a case for Green Bay, but Green Bay's a national fan base. The Packers have as many fans that call into the radio show as we do Titans fans on a regular basis. There's not a single team objectively, if I'm an objective football fan, that I would pick Tennessee instead of to watch this year. Maybe the Jaguars, just because Trevor Lawrence is pretty unimpressive to me. But I don't think there's a single other team on this schedule. I mean, I personally, but even Like, I would have said the Colts, I would also put below the Titans, but I want to know what Anthony Richardson looks like. I barely got to see him play last year, and he's got the highest level athletic ceiling of any of the quarterbacks that were drafted in 2024 or 2023. Do you disagree?
I don't disagree, but I also think this schedule lends itself to where if you earn the opportunity to play in primetime, you have the opportunity to be flexed into primetime because of how many divisional games you have late in the season. If the Titans do go on a tear at the beginning of the season, play spoiler against the Texans in week 12, maybe that opens up week 18 to be a primetime game where the Titans are vying for a wild card spot, the Texans are in, and it's the difference between playoff spots. Same thing with the Jaguars week 17 if they're a playoff team. Having the 3 divisional games at the end of the schedule is tough, but it gives the Titans the opportunity to earn primetime games if that's what they want to do. Also, you can't see the dates on there, but no short weeks. At least from my really quick scan over this, it looks like it would be really good for the coaching staff, a new coaching staff, to not have to put together game plans on 4 days, 5 days notice. They're going to have full weeks in most cases to get ready for their opponent. So the schedule does lend itself, aside from that week 5 bye, because the only thing worse than a super early bye is the latest bye, where your team is so beat up that the bye doesn't even help that much.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at that point. Out of curiosity, because somebody just asked how many primetime games the Colts got, then did the Titans. Apparently, Cowboys fans are also Colts fans, says Trippin' Titans. I don't know what that necessarily means. Will Levis
schedule release video. He was like that. She said, "That's the Cowboys."
And it's the Colts. Okay, got it.
The Colts had 1 primetime game for what it's worth. So,
and I think that, by the way, I think that makes sense.
Yep.
I don't think that the Colts should be on national television any more than the Titans should. I don't think the Jags should be on national television any more than the Titans should. That, especially for 3 teams that didn't make the postseason last year, Tennessee and Indianapolis are on even footing. Go out and prove to me that you're worth seeing more of, Levis and Richardson, because those are the 2 biggest question marks in the division. I think that in particular, Jacksonville is probably going to get a few more, because at least if I'm the NFL schedule makers, and you saw this with the Vegas win totals as well, the Texans are the projected leader in the division with, I believe, 10.5 games was the over-under at where it was set. And the other 2 were set at 9.5, with the Titans coming in at 6.5, in some places 6. So with that being said, I think that Indianapolis is probably getting more love than they are getting more love than they deserve, straight up, with the unknown at quarterback. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to see them on television on a regular basis. Anthony Richardson has to prove to me, in the same way that Will Levis has to prove to me, that anybody else should give a shit about them.
And the AFC South, for what it's worth, if you're taking primetime game numbers as an example of what they think of it, they have 8 primetime games between the entire division. 4 for the Texans, 2 for the Colts, 1 each. 2 for Jacksonville, rather. Indianapolis and Tennessee both have 1. And when you look at the cross section of what gets you primetime games, are you good? Do you have a big fan base? And if the answer to both of those is yes, then you're going to have more people watch. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, they've got 6 primetime games. That makes sense. San Francisco, they were a really, really good team last year. That makes sense. Dallas, biggest fan base in the country. Them having 6 primetime games makes sense. And then everyone who has 5 was a playoff team last year. Kansas City, Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Philly, Miami, the Rams. All of them went to the playoffs. Yep. So again, as you highlighted, if you want to have primetime games, you have to win. But the Titans schedule lends itself to the fact that if they do win, and if they do prove themselves to be a young, exciting, fun team on offense, aggressive team on defense, that gets you primetime games late in the season.
And there's some information here about what you need to know, as Bert said, to play for primetime games later in the season that will provide some context to that discussion, courtesy of the NFL, right after I remind you that the primetime program is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com, get your dream address without the stress. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found at GaryAshton.com. All right, so here's the information you need to know about potential late season flexing.
Like they're kicking my ass out of here. Get the hell out of here. You done did enough talking.
Me or you?
No, you shifted back to this like you was about to let me leave and go home early.
Well, you're already at home, so
I
there's
am at home.
there's
Well, I'm
nothing.
not wearing pants.
As far as I know, I'm just happy you have a shirt on. Quote, this season, flexible scheduling for Sunday night may be used twice, okay, between weeks 5 and 10, and at the NFL's discretion during weeks 11 through 17. And for Monday night at the NFL's discretion in weeks 12 through 17. Okay, so flexible scheduling between weeks 5 and 10, that is something that teams can use twice. The NFL has control from week 11 to 17 on Sunday nights and Monday nights from 12 to 17. Thursday night football, it may be used twice, up to twice, between weeks 13 and 17 in the weeks of the season eligible for flexible scheduling. The games listed for Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night windows are tentative and subject to change. Only Sunday afternoon games are eligible to be moved to Sunday, Monday, or Thursday night, in which case the tentatively scheduled Sunday or Monday night games would be moved to a Sunday afternoon. So the Titans having that many noon games down the stretch lends itself to the most amount of possible flexes should they prove that they're worthy of an additional primetime broadcast.
We also know the entire, I sent it to your Twitter. It is the Sunday night and Monday night schedules. And Sunday night looks tough. It looks like a lot of good teams week 11 and on, not a lot of bad teams. But Monday night, week 15, you've got a game between the Falcons and the Raiders. Both of them could be awful, horrendous. There's no way they would leave that on. And in week 15, they take on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It would be a Brian Callahan homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Bengals will be coming to Nashville, but facing his old team, Tyler Boyd facing his old team. The storylines would be there. You would get a very fun Monday night football package if that was somehow flexed into Monday night football.
Yeah, because there's 2 Monday night games. There's a doubleheader with the Bears and the Vikings and the Falcons and the Raiders. So to Bert's point, that Falcons-Raider window is the one that you might most likely have the opportunity at. I think that what I'm really rejoicing in is no real cold game concerns on the schedule this year as I look at it, Bert, which makes me very, very happy. The idea that we're getting Chicago out of the way in week 1, Green Bay is here, and that the coldest weather game that I have to fear at this point is what, Indianapolis in week 16? I'll take that and run. That Minnesota is at home, that Buffalo is early enough in the season. I'm sure there will be weather, but not the worst kind of weather, and Detroit's in a dome. I could not be happier with the weather on that schedule.
Week 13 in D.C. might be a little chilly. You might have to bring a coat there, but it's not going to be like freeze your nips off weather. You know what I mean?
Landover, Maryland, it's about the same. It's about the same weather as Middle Tennessee, to be honest with you.
The problem is it's just so rainy and nasty there that if it is cold and it is rainy, it's going to be a gross day.
Especially in that dump.
But out of all of the games that we got here on the schedule, which press box food are you most excited for?
Oh, that's a great question.
Or throw somebody under the bus.
The worst in the league is Chicago. So week 1 at Chicago sets just a terrible, terrible tone. They have just such disregard, and apparently this is a long-running thing. Listen, you don't have to cater to the media, okay? You really don't have to exceed that high of a bar with free food and fat-ass media people who are going to be nicer to you if they give you want to know why everybody in sports media looks like they should have bought a desk that they sit, one of those standing desks that you have a treadmill under. You know why everybody in sports media looks like they have an ass crack hanging out every time they sit down at a desk chair? It's because of the free food. So with that said, Chicago earns itself no grace whatsoever with how shitty their spread is. It's not even a spread. It's one of those like microwaved, tinfoil wrapped, mushy, soggy sandwiches that you would expect that Chicago would have like a fairly decent spread. This is a famous franchise. It's in a great food city. Even if it's just hot dogs, just give me I almost said it. No, you know what? I'll say it with my chest. Just give me a fucking hot dog. I don't want your soggy ass chicken sandwich and your sad little fruit salad that comes in a plastic cup that looks like it's already been used. Just give me a fucking hot dog. That's all I want. I don't think it's that hard. I don't think you have to overachieve that much. It's not rocket science. Just even street meat quality hot dogs. We'll take them. I mean, you know how many terrible hot dogs I've eaten outside of Tin Roof in my life? You don't have to exceed that bar too much. That's how it goes with the press box food in Chicago. It is absolute garbage. The best press box eating on the schedule. Houston just always blows it out of the water. It really is crazy. The Houston Texans, no matter if they're good, bad, or signing NDAs about massage therapists, they always have a great press box spread. SoFi with the Chargers is up there. I have yet to go to Detroit though, so I'm excited. Chicago though, without question, the worst by a mile on that schedule.
Well, hell yeah!
All right.
What game you taking me to?
I'm not taking you to any of them. Get out of here.
You promised.
Shadows.
You said no. Come on.
All right. So that's going to do it. Oh, he jumped out of the screen entirely. Look at him. That's going to do it for us tonight. We're going to have a full reaction show to the entirety of the schedule. We'll go note by note. We'll give you all the details that you need to know tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. For example, some things that you can look forward to, the kind of top offenses you're going to be facing, divisional weighting games, quarterbacks 1, 2, and 3. You're going to face them all, and first-year coaches. We'll highlight a lot of that stuff for you, including the television breakdown tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. We hope you'll join us. Thanks for hanging out. A quick note on the way out the door, just because I want to say it, because we're also streaming live to the Zone audience too. Mickey Ryan ended his time at 104.5 The Zone today. I didn't get an opportunity to hear the tribute that the people who worked with him the longest gave for him, and not to do the on-air obituary stuff because Mick's not dead. I just texted him earlier today. It's not like he's gone anywhere, right? I'm still going to be able to call Mickey Ryan whenever I want. But because Mickey Ryan is somebody who advocated for me to get a job at the Zone, because he was gracious enough to let me be a part of the Titans pregame coverage with him and Blaine Bishop on Sunday mornings for the last 3 seasons. And because Mickey has been so good to me for the last 9 years since I moved to Nashville and started covering the Tennessee Titans, I just wanted to say thank you. I know there's so many Zone listeners and Middle Tennessee listeners who love Mickey Ryan, who love his stories, who love his transitions, who love his music taste, who love his family, who love him, right? And so, tweet him whenever you get a chance. Send him a message on Instagram whenever you get a chance, because he's a living legend, Mickey Ryan, and I'm better for having worked with him, and I'm worse for having lost him as a day-to-day coworker, but I'm sure Mickey's going to be around in some form or fashion. I just wanted to say, give a little shine to my guy whose 10-year run at the Zone ended earlier this week. That's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show. Like I said, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone. See you guys.
Guys, Red Stallion Girl. I'm here back on Broadway.
Oh, the Bengals. Yeah, I love the Bengals.
Love the Bengals.
Love Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
They peaked in 1970.
And
Over the cheese.
Okay.
Okay, so Alex Earl's boyfriend.
That's the Dallas Cowboys. That's Dak Prescott.
I wouldn't want to be a table around him.
He will go on fourth every time. He just
Yeah.
don't care. He's like me if I play the NFL on my phone. I know that they used to kick the Super Bowl's ass for a consecutive, maybe 3 to 4 years straight with Tom Brady.
And then what happened?
My favorite actor is a fan of theirs.
Oh.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have.
They have David Carr is what I know about them.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have.
I don't know that one either.
Know that one
yeah.
either.
If you could describe their team in 3 words, what would it be?
Going downhill.
Eli Manning, for sure.
That's pretty much it.
I don't know who those guys
I
are.
don't know who they are either.
I'm terrible at this.
I'm so bad.